in terms of return to sport rates anyways after your ACLR or anterior cruciate ligament reconstruction, those are a little bit lower than I feel like society thinks that they are, and maybe like what you might even expect as well. So it's different across different studies, and it also kind of depends on if you're an elite athlete, if you're recreational, or even if you're adolescent or younger as well. So those are different groups and those have different rates. Elite athletes often have higher return to sport rates, and often it's because it is like their job. It is kind of like their job to rehab. They have a whole different team, like their life is set up a little bit differently. But so when we're looking at those return to sport rates, it can kind of be, it hovers a little bit around like that 60-ish%. That does kind of like go on either side depending on the study that you're reading. So there's some that are showing kind of like that 60, some that show as high as like 80%, and it does kind of span over what is kind of like the minimum of kind of like 8 to 9 months, but definitely recommended at 1 year. And then the follow-up can be up to 2 years, and then even up to 3 years in some studies as well. So again, if we're looking at that return to sport, I don't think that we talk enough about the long game in this rehab and kind of like the long game in like where we're trying to go. And again, it's a lot easier for someone like myself who was like much past my prime when I was rehabbing my ACL. I didn't have like a team that I really needed to get back to. I didn't have an event. I didn't have like a scholarship. I didn't have any of those kind of like pressures surrounding me. And so I really could take the time and think about how I wanted to rehab and where I needed to get back to. So I can definitely understand how those pressures in different situations might drive the treatment planning a little bit differently. But I think, again, like the bigger picture is that as physios and surgeons, and then we need to educate patients, is that the return to sport rate is, again, hovers around 60%. And so if you're even getting to that point, like that is huge. And we do want to make it higher. We want to prepare athletes better. But that doesn't mean just like rushing back to your sport. That does mean making sure that you do your return to sport testing, you do your full rehab. And then if it does take you longer to get back to your sport, again, that's not just you waiting to play. During that time, there should be staged rehab. There should be staged exposures. There should be that training in place so that once you do get back to your sport, again, you're prepared. And that reduces the risk of re-injury, rupture of the other side, and then just longevity for your knees as you age and as you keep staying active throughout your life.